Fulham. I have put us in 12th position. Well, that did not go to plan. The Premier League season has come and gone for yet another season, and we are here today to talk about the predictions I made at the start of the season. Some of them I have absolutely nailed, and clearly some of them not so well. But g'day guys, how's it going? It is JarradHD here. Very excited to see how we went in our predictions for the Premier League season. We're going to have a look through the table, seeing how close I got, if not spot on, for certain clubs. And we will also be reviewing the 3 predictions I made for the Golden Boot, the Player of the Season, and the first manager to be sacked. Now, when I'm going through the predictions, I'm going to be adding up like a points system to see how close I got. So if I got a team spot on, I'm going to be getting plus 2 points. But if I predicted a team 1 spot above or below where they finished, then you'll get 1 point for them. And obviously for teams like Fulham, 0 points. Alright, so starting off in 20th position, I predicted Cardiff City. I think virtually everybody that's not a Cardiff fan predicted them to finish 20th. Now, they did get relegated, but you've got to give Cardiff a lot of credit. They outperformed basically all of our expectations, and for the longest time there, especially around February, I thought Cardiff were going to survive relegation. Like, when they had that massive win against Bournemouth, I thought Cardiff were going to stay up. But Lady Luck definitely was not on Cardiff's side this season. A few contentious refereeing calls, I think back to that Chelsea game, and they found themselves relegated in 18th position. So no points for them. They're going back down to the championship, but they put up one hell of a fight. In 19th position, I predicted Huddersfield. So we're going to get 1 point for them because, again, just like Cardiff, despite getting the prediction wrong, I did predict them getting relegated was correct. So we get a point for them. They finished in 20th position. A terrible season. They looked off the pace basically all season long, and they deservedly got relegated. 18th position, I actually got very, very close, but I'm sure the team, or the fans of this team that I put in 18th are happy that I got it wrong. I put Brighton in 18th. They were on the cusp of relegation. They finished in 17th position. They had that game against Liverpool at the end of the season, but they had a terrible start to 2019. In 2018, they looked alright. They looked like they were going to survive, but a terrible run of form. They started to slowly pick it up at the end of the season, but Chris Hughton sacked one day after the end of the season. Brighton will have to do a lot of work next season if they don't want to get relegated, and at the moment, early prediction for 2019-20, they are one of the favourites to go down. Now, 17th position. This is one of the teams I definitely got so wrong, and I apologise to any fans of this team for doubting you at the start of the season. But in 17th position, I had Watford. Yeah, Watford. They finished in 11th position. And to be fair, them finishing 11th looks good on me because they were on fire all season long. They had a poor run of form towards the back end of the Premier League season, so they probably should have finished in that top 10, but ultimately they finished in 11th. I was 6 positions away from getting them correct, so a terrible choice by me. I'm interested to see how they go against City in the FA Cup final, but yeah, Watford 17. Alright, so the first side that I got nailed on, we get 2 points for in this one. In 16th position, I predicted Southampton, and Southampton, they finished in 16th. For the longest time, they were probably one of the favourites. They were one of the favourites to get relegated, but just like Brighton, they started to slowly pick things up at the end of the season, probably in a more emphatic fashion, and Southampton survived quite comfortably at the end of the season, but for a long time there, it was touch and go. But Southampton, 16, that's 2 points. Now in 15th position, I predicted Bournemouth to finish there. To be fair, they finished in 14th position, so I was only 1 spot off. We're going to get 1 point for that one, but I'm surprised they finished that low. They were really good this season. Again, just a few little lapses in poor form. They had some poor form towards the end of the season, losing to Fulham, losing to Spurs, losing to a lot of sides. They got flogged the last day of the season, didn't they? Or Cardiff Crystal Palace brought it back. Or should I say they brought it back against Crystal Palace. But Bournemouth, 14th, definitely, or 15th, 14th, not a fair reflection on how they finished. They finished 14th, but again, they could have easily finished up in 10th, 11th if they kept up the form. It's crazy to think that given how much of a small underdog club they were headed into the Premier League, their lifespan in the Premier League, just them still be here, taking down big clubs, doing well. It's really surprising. Also, I think I said they lost to Tottenham. They beat them 1-0. I mean, unlike Fulham, Tottenham couldn't beat Bournemouth away. I'm actually surprised with how well I did in this middle section of the table. A lot of the clubs I only got 1 point off or 1 position off, and another club that we only got 1 position off was Newcastle United. I predicted the Magpies to finish in 14th position. They finished in 13th. Again, in that pack where you thought they were going to get relegated for a little while there, but they found a run of form unlike all the relegated clubs, and they find themselves safe once again for another Premier League season. The big question for Newcastle, however, is are they going to invest in the squad in the off-season? I do not know how Rafa Benitez has not left St. James's Park yet. I don't know how he hasn't throat punched Mike Ashley. A big off-season needed for the Magpies. Almiron was a little bit of a decent revelation. Very interested to see how he goes with a full pre-season under his belt. Very excited for him next season, but Newcastle, very interested to see what they do this off-season. In 13th position, I predicted Leicester City. And to be honest, I am very surprised that they finished in 9th position this season. I mean, for a long time there, they were very mediocre. Of course, Claude Puel being sacked towards the back end of the season and Brendan Rodgers coming in was a big talking point. And Rodgers really helped them lift towards the end of the season. They had that big win against Arsenal a few weeks ago, and for them to finish in 9th, I was surprised by that. It didn't really feel like they had a ninth place season, if you get what I mean. But fair play to the Foxes. They turned things around amidst a pretty upsetting season. Of course, we had the tragedy to the chairman, or the owner, sorry, at the King Power Stadium. An absolute shocking event back late last year. And they've had a lot of adversity to push through this season. They've done it successfully, and they finish in 9th position after my 13th prediction. Now, 12th position, we get to a tough one. Fulham. Yep, my favourite club, Fulham, after spending over £100 million in the opening window. I've got to say, I had my blinkers on. I thought for sure we weren't going to get relegated. I thought relegation was off the cards. And I thought I was being somewhat harsh enough with 12th position. But we had an absolute shocker of a season. It's kind of made you realize that going out and buying a bunch of names doesn't help. Andreas Schürrle, dog piss, absolute crap. Get out of my club. He's already terminated his 2-year loan. I'm pretty sure he's going back to Borussia Dortmund early. Good riddance. What a terrible signing he was for us. Scored that banger against Burnley, but besides that, absolutely shocking. Our defense was an absolute joke all season long. I mean, I could go ahead and make a whole 45 bloody minute video on where Fulham went wrong this season, but it was a disgraceful season on all accounts. And the fact of the matter is, we did better once we were officially relegated. We almost doubled our points tally for the entire season once we had relegation confirmed against Southampton. Oh, sorry, no, it was against Watford, wasn't it? There were so many games where it's like, all right, this is when we're going to get relegated. This is when we're going to get relegated. But no, the game away against Watford on my fucking birthday was when we got relegated. My favorite club got relegated on my 22nd birthday. Are you shitting me? Very interested to see how we go next season. I'm so excited that Tom Kearney has renewed his contract and said that he's going to be staying next season. That is massive for Fulham. Now the big thing is whether King Mitro stays or whether Ryan Sessegnon stays. Whether that happens or not is a different story. I really hope so, but I wouldn't hold it against either of them if they left. But anyways, we get past the doom and gloom of Fulham and talk about the 11th place side. I predicted Burnley to finish in 11th. Now, of course, Burnley were in that middle of the pack sort of lot. They hit that 40-point marker and finished in 15th position. But for a while there, it was very touch and go for the Clarets. Of course, they had their Europa League commitments at the start of the season, which slowed them down quite a lot. They had a very slow start to the Premier League season. but they started to pick things up, and ultimately that saw them stay in the Premier League for another season somehow. Talking about 10th position now, I got very close to this one. In 10th spot, I put Crystal Palace, who had a pretty strong season. They ended up finishing in 12th position. Again, they were in that mix of clubs that I thought as a Fulham fan we could potentially overtake and put in the relegation zone, but they had a very strong second half of the season and it ended up breezing past all the relegation sides and finishing in 12th position. Fair play to them. I got to go watch a game at Selhurst Park. I did go to England at the halfway mark of the season just after Christmas, and I saw Fulham versus Brighton at Craven Cottage, that crazy game where we were 2-0 down at halftime and came back to win 4-2. And then the second Fulham game I saw was the away game at Selhurst Park against Crystal Palace. Terrible game for Fulham. We got destroyed by Palace. They were all over us. And you can I think that was the game where they really started to kick off their season, Palace. Again, getting 2 positions off for the 9th placed team. I put Wolves in 9th, and again, they exceeded expectations. We all knew they would do well. I think we all knew that they wouldn't even be in the relegation zone as a newcomer team. They hit the ground running. Their Portuguese influences were incredible. Their manager was just outstanding. It was just an all-round fantastic season if you are a Wolves supporter. I'm sure Wolves supporters would have wanted to be playing at Wembley this weekend in the FA Cup instead of Watford, but they definitely cannot be upset with the season they had. It's the type of season that I wish Fulham had. But fair play to Wolves, they finished in 7th. Very excited to see whether they can back it up again next season or maybe even eclipse it, maybe even make a run for Europa League football or even Champions League football. I mean, they're doing their own sort of rebuild. Mr. Rebuild doesn't need to take control of Wolves. All right, into 8th position, and it is the second club that I have successfully predicted. It is Everton in 8th position. And honestly, I wish I could provide some insight into Everton, but it kind of, I don't know, I like Everton. They're one of those sides I have a bit of a soft spot for, but they had a bit of a non-event season. 8th position, they'll take it, I guess, but I really didn't keep up to date with them. They didn't seem to do much. They just kind of seemed to exist. I mean, really the only thing that I can think about them doing all season was getting a draw against Liverpool that ultimately cost Liverpool the title. So, yeah, Everton, 8th place. I don't know if any Everton fans are watching. Do you take 8th position? Do you want to finish higher? I mean, Everton, it feels like forever, have had ambitions of breaking out of that sort of 7th, 8th, 9th role and making consistent European football, consistently getting in the Europa League and even breaking through to the top 4, but it just isn't happening for the Evertonians. Into 7th position, and I predicted West Ham United to finish here. They finished in 10th, but they did have a very good season overall. I mean, they were a very good side to watch at a lot of times this season. I was, like, when I went on that England trip, I ended up seeing West Ham versus Liverpool at the Olympic Stadium, that famous night there, where Liverpool scored the offside goal. I was directly in line with where that happened, and I remember turning to the bloke next to me saying, I think he was offside there. Ultimately he was, but no VAR in the Premier League, unlike the A-League, and it cost West Ham that night. But West Ham had a fantastic season, and I'm sure they'll be looking to build on this season heading into next season. Now we move into the top 6, and this is where things get quite interesting. You might notice that all the 6 teams remaining are all teams that actually ended up in the top 6, but where did I rank them? So, in 6th, I put Chelsea. For a long time this season, I thought I was spot on with that prediction, but the Blues ended up having a very good second half of the season. Sarri was linked with getting sacked for a long time there, but he kind of steered the ship around and sorted out Chelsea's season. He got them into the Europa League final against Arsenal. Very excited to watch that game, but Chelsea finishing in 6th position did not happen. They ended up getting 3rd position, meaning they'll be playing Champions League football next season. 5th position, we're going to get 1.4. I predicted Tottenham to finish in 5th. They had a far better season than I expected. For a lot of the season, at the halfway point especially, I mean, they were sitting 2nd ahead of Man City and just behind Liverpool at the halfway point of the season. The fact they've dropped off all the way to 4th is very bad. I should have looked to be a fool putting Tottenham in 5th, but ultimately they finish in 4th. They're in the Champions League final, which I feel like has taken a lot of their focus. They've dropped off in the Premier League, but I feel like that's because they've been so focused on winning the Champions League. I predicted them 5th. They finished 4th. And so we get to the other side of North London. It is Arsenal, who I predicted to finish in their famous 4th position. They finished in 5th, meaning this Europa League final is massive for them. If they want to be playing Champions League football next season, they need to win this final. It's going to be huge for them. I get 1 point for predicting them to finish in 4th position. Now we get to the top 3. In 3rd position, I look like a fool. Manchester United. If you switch Man United and Chelsea, I would have got it spot on, but not to be. I mean, they had a very up and down season, didn't they, United? I mean, after they sacked Jose Mourinho, they just went on a mad run. Ole at the wheel, but by the end of the season, it looked like the wheel that Ole was driving was Princess Diana's car. Oh, I shouldn't really be making that joke, should I? I know it's been 22 years, but oh, that's edgy. Apologies in advance if I offended anybody in the royal family. Please don't come after me. But yeah, I predicted Manchester United in 3rd position. They finished in 6th. A very up and down season for them. And I know it's my brand, but they need a rebuild. I've already rebuilt them on FIFA, but they need a rebuild in real life. United do not look like the United of old. They used to be such a threatening side, the biggest side in England, but now they are, compared to the rest of the top 6, they are nowhere near. So a big off-season needed for them. So now we get to the top 2. I got the top 2 correct. It's just about which order I put them in. So, in the top 2, we have to fight between Man City and Liverpool. We all know how it ended in real life, but where did I predict them? Well, I got it spot on. I said Liverpool in 2nd, Manchester City in 1st, and I even said that it would be extremely tight. I know that doesn't make me Nostradamus in the slightest, but it was an extremely tight title race. But in the end, City, they held on to win. Liverpool, I mean, I'm not going to call them chokers or bottles because that is not fair, but they had a very good lead at Christmas that they blew. They blew it. They finished behind Manchester City in one of the most exciting title races you'll ever see. I mean, they got 97 points and still didn't win the Premier League title. Liverpool, your club is cursed. How can you finish with 97 points and not win the Premier League title? That is ridiculous. That just shows how good Manchester City are and how good Liverpool are. And right now, I mean, it's no big expert opinion, but Liverpool and Man City, they are so far ahead of the rest of the Premier League. It is ridiculous. Fair play to Jurgen Klopp being able to change the squad around since he took them over. But even bigger respect to Pep Guardiola. That is one hell of a side. So now we're going to get on to our final 3 predictions. The Golden Boot, the Player of the Season, and the first manager sack. So, for the Golden Boot, this is what I'm quite embarrassed about. I even said it in the predictions video. The Golden Boot, I said it was someone that I would either look at the end of the season and feel like an absolute king, feel like Nostradamus, or feel like an idiot. And right now, yeah, you guys feeling like an idiot. My prediction for the Golden Boot, oh, it makes me angry to say this. I said Romelu Lukaku. Nope, he didn't get the Golden Boot. Nope, he didn't have a great season. Of course, the Golden Boot was a 3-way tie between Salah, Mane, and Aubameyang. Fair play to them. They all had fantastic seasons. I was surprised that Aubameyang was up there. But yeah, Lukaku, definitely not him. Now, the first manager sack, I was going to say I sort of got it right, but the guy I said ended up getting sacked, but he was not the first. Now, I predicted Mark Hughes of Southampton to get sacked. He wasn't the first sacked, but he was let go in quick fashion from Southampton. But unfortunately, it was the Fulham manager, Slasher Jokanovic. Jokanovic gone out of the club. We got the abomination that is Claudio Ranieri. Again, that's a different topic for a different day. He was just, absolutely terrible. Now, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, we've got the man himself, Scott Parker, as our manager heading into the championship. But Jokanovic was the first manager sack. And then for the PFA Player of the Season, I predicted Kevin De Bruyne. He would have been close. He had a decent season, but it was Virgil van Dijk who ended up getting player of the season. An incredible pickup for Liverpool a few seasons back. Was it this season that he got picked up? No, it was last season. All the seasons are starting to merge together. But he had an incredible season. Almost helped Liverpool get to the Premier League title. Might help carry them to the Champions League title. But my prediction, Kevin De Bruyne, definitely not as out there as the Romelu Lukaku one. But lads, that is where we are going to conclude today's Premier League predictions review video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like on the video. Definitely will be doing one of these at the start of the 2019-20 season, which is just ridiculous to say, but that'll be in a few months' time. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the Premier League season. I certainly did at times. It has been JarradHD here. I am out. Peace.